What can you tell me about going to the WWF?
Oh, I would have never. By the way, if I had anything against my brother for not letting me go to Los Angeles, he sure made it up to me. But he got me into the WWE, WWF, and the way I looked at it, okay, I wasn't going in on top. I was just going in as see what's up, you know. And I didn't care if they gave me a job taking the jackets back to the dressing room. Eventually, if you got any talent, they'll notice. I got 4 months of main events, 2 in Madison Square Garden. And that's a lot less than Bruno Sammartino got. But to me, it was very, very good. Like a fat girl on prom night, I got a date for the dance, you know, and I was very happy.
Did they ever want to do anything with you and Randy together? I know you were in the ring with him when you read the Macho King poem, but I mean, nowadays it would be impossible to hide the fact that you guys are brothers. Back then, did they ever bring it up? They wanted to do anything with you guys?
Well, I never made any suggestions. I just did what I was told, and that's why I lasted 8 years. And I have to say, I would have loved to have wrestled my brother on WrestleMania, but that wasn't in the program. It wasn't in the cards. But at least I got to wrestle the immortal Hulk Hogan in several Saturday night main events, and also twice in Madison Square Garden. And then I'm not saying I drew it, but a couple of box office records fell. But I was just a co-star in Los Angeles and Oklahoma City, speaking of Bo Watts. And you know, and business was good. But I must also say that I had a fantastic partner, Mr. Perfect.
What can you tell me about Curt Hennig?
Well, he's an excellent person, a lot of fun in the locker room, fantastic to wrestle. In fact, a lot of people don't know this, but it was Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig, against Leaping Lanny Poffo when he first came in, okay? And Randy saw one of the matches and said, ooh, that was a hell of a match. How was he to work with? I said, like butter. You know, and he made me look good, and then he took that, what did they call that, Northern Lights suplex or whatever it's called, and
Plex.
What's that?
The perfect plex.
Whatever it was, yeah, it was, and it was like butter. Everything was great. He's a professional. I was very upset about, you know, acute cocaine overdose. You know, I'm a guy that never took a drug. And I had no idea he had a problem.
Why did they transition you from a wrestler to a manager?
I never asked. I was just lucky to have the position. You know, like mine was not the reason why, mine was but to do or die. And the only thing I counted was the money and the miles. Right. I'll tell you the reason I like Jacques, because Dynamite Kid was messing with him, and boy, did he get even. And I tell you what, you ever hear about guys fighting and say, well, that was uncalled for? No, this was called for. Yeah. And he took his mighty fist and punched his lights out, baby. And, you know, the guy Dynamite was a bully, but, you know, he ran into a tougher guy. And and Raymond and him, they're fantastic people. The father, the uncle, all the Rougeaus are excellent people. And good for him to get, you know, I'm not going to tell you the whole story because it's not my story, but what a punch. I didn't see it, but I was in tour in France and Italy with Dynamite, and his teeth were gone.
What are your thoughts on Vince McMahon?
Well, you know, who signs my check is whose praise I sing. You've ever heard that expression?
I did now. I love it.
Okay, he's not signing any more checks for me, but the money he gave me continues to accrue interest. So I am very in favor of Vince McMahon. He's an excellent man. The truth is, I wish I were more like him. But since I can't be like him, at least I can like him. Okay. I've never seen him yawning. I've never seen any scuzz on his shoes. And I've never seen him in need of dental floss. The guy is meticulous. Do you understand me? And I don't knock success. And some people do. I think that's very sad. Vince McMahon is a very successful man. And, a lot of people were rooting against him, including, billionaire Ted and the United States court, whatever. I wish him a happy final gliding path of life. And I want to say, if you're listening, thank you for doing that for my brother, Elizabeth, and myself. I am very, very appreciative. And I'll have you know that my life is good and better because of him.
Who are your favorite guys to work with in WWF, and who are your least favorite guys to work with?
Before I became the Genius, I was the guy that would put over the heels that Vince wanted to put over. And I would say my favorite guys to do that for was Terry Funk, Bob Orton Jr., Harley Race, Dory Funk Jr. I'm telling you, I did these favors for these guys in every town. Mr. Perfect was one of them. My least favorite was Bam Bam Bigelow. One time, he got me in a leg scissors, and I guess he didn't wash his tights, but it smelled like a combination of ammonia and cat urine. And I'm thinking to myself in this leg scissors, what kind of a career choice did I make to wind up in this horrible hold by this terrible person? And but I have to say, my favorite guy to wrestle was Hulk Hogan, because he took me out of the scrap heap and he put me on his level for one brief shining moment. And I will never be done being appreciative of that. And I've been interviewed about him, and I can only say good things about Hulk Hogan and thank him for all he did for me. He likes my gimmick, and he thought he could have some fun with it. So that's how I feel about that.
The rest of the locker room think? There you are a couple years ago, you're putting them over. Now you're higher on the cards as a lot of the guys that you used to work with. Were guys happy for you? Were guys jealous of you?
Well, I remember it was Topeka, Kansas, when I walked into the locker room, and Rick Rude is there with his friends, and he says, "Are you only getting a match against Hulk Hogan because your brother's the Macho Man?" And I said, "Yes. Didn't you know that?" I said, this business is about favor, not merit. And all his friends laughed at him because I took the bullets out of his gun, but he didn't know I was going to go over. He didn't know that. And then he says, the next day was in Wichita, Kansas. And he says, "Hey, I heard you had a good match." I said, "Really?" What I heard was they're going to erase the tape. So basically, Rick Rude was very popular with the guys in Minnesota. He was a very good bouncer. He was a champion arm wrestler. He was legit. But he only cared about two things in this world, Rick and Rude, okay? And he was mad because Hulk didn't want to work with him. And if Hulk doesn't want to work with you, you don't work with him. He had to wait until Ultimate Warrior became champion, and I'll tell you what, Rick Rude had a great match with the Warrior. Not quite as good as my brother's match with him, but, considering the problem of working with the Warrior, it was pretty good.